three bow to the Buddha. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Bow to teacher.
Okay, so we're on to the final stretch. Let me just adjust this. Okay. Okay, so this was where we left off yesterday. And as usual, I've prepared more material than I can fit into 4 lessons. So today I'm going to be going pretty fast. But so far we've looked at the 5 realms and we're on to the final realm of the heavenly realm. So the importance about understanding the characteristics of the different types of realms and the inhabitants of those realms is so that we can make an informed choice. So, you know, if for some reason you find the torment described in the lower realms attractive, then that's your choice. But the main aim is for us to really understand that there are certain realms that are undesirable, and there are certain realms that are more preferable. So this is the final realm that we're going to discuss, which is the heavenly realm. And within the Buddhist cosmology, as I mentioned yesterday, there are another classification. So you've got the 3 realms of the desire realm, the form, and the formless realm. So the characteristics of these 3 realms relate to the sentient beings there, and the defilements that they have basically are connected to their environment and so forth. And with the desire realm, the main characteristics common to the sentient beings in that realm is that they have the 5 desires. Now, when we talk about the 5 desires in the Buddhist texts, when you read them, there are 2 sets. Sometimes you'll come across 2 sets of desires, 5 desires, and one relates to forms, sounds, sensed, tastes, and tactile objects. So these 5 desires are in connection to our sense faculties. So as the beings in the desire realm, we have sense faculties, and when it comes into contact with their corresponding sense objects, this can give rise to attachment if it is pleasurable, or aversion if it is unpleasurable. Now, whether we have attachment or aversion, it's still some form of clinging towards that particular object. So this is one way of classifying the 5 desires, and it relates to the experiences we gain through the sense faculties. Now, the other group of 5 desires is a bit more self-explanatory, and this is the desires for wealth, love, fame, food, and sleep. So, as I said, these terms are a bit more self-explanatory, but here I'd like to point out that the aspect of love refers to craving for affection, but also specifically refers to intimacy between the genders and the craving for that particular sensation. Now, another odd item you might think is sleep. And you'd think, why would we be craving sleep? But if we think about it, we spend a lot of our time sleeping over a 24-hour period. You know, what's considered healthy is 6 to 8 hours of sleep. So over our lifetime, we actually spend quite a lot of years sleeping. But for some people, sleep is actually very desirable. Now, when we talk about sleep and the craving for sleep, it also includes just generally being lazy, idle, or really indulging in trying to get some sleep and so forth. So this aspect is also something we need to be mindful of, because the more time we spend sleeping, laying around, idling, the less time we have to learn and practice and do good deeds. So what falls under the desire realm? Basically, the desire realm encompasses pretty much all of the 6 realms, as you can see in this chart. So the hells, the hungry ghost, and the animal realm, the human realm, and the asuras, if they were to be classed separately, they all fall under the desire realm. And there are some levels, particularly what we refer to as the lower levels of heaven, also fall within the desire realm. So remember, the beings in the desire realm have pretty much similar sense faculties, and so they have attachments and aversions that can arise when their sense faculties meet with the particular objects. And from this chart, you can see that the form and the formless realm is unique to the heavenly realm. Excuse me. So in terms of our the Buddhist cosmology, as I mentioned yesterday, at the center we have Mount Sumeru, and the desire realm heavens, the lower level heavens that fall into the desire realm. At the very lower point, we have the 2 levels of heaven, which is the heaven of the 4 Deva kings and the Trimsa heaven. Now, these 2 heavens actually are located at the peak of Mount Sumeru, so they're called the heavens living on earth. Now, above that, you have another 4 heavens, and these are referred to as the heavens living in space, because they're no longer located on Mount Sumeru, they're located above it. So in total, there are 6 levels of heaven that fall within the desire realm. Now, in these 6 desire realm heavens, you will find the systems of a country, where you have ruler and subject relationships, as well as male and female relationships. So all of this is very similar to the human realm. The only difference is that the fortune and joy experienced in these lower level heavens surpasses what we can experience in the human realm. So above the desire realm heaven, we come to the form realm. Now, the form here is a very subtle form, which is a very more superior than the coarse type of form we can find in the desire realm areas. So the beings here, they also have consciousness, they have physical form, and they have their own abodes, but they no longer have sexual desire. So the form realm is also called, the reason why it's called the form realm is because the sentient beings here, their defilements are connected to the subtle forms that appear in their particular realm. And this is what they have attachments to. So the form realm heavens are largely grouped into the 4 meditation heavens, and they can be further subdivided into 18 heavens. So within the form realm heavens, you'll find there's the first meditation, the second, the third, and then you have the 4th meditation. Sometimes it's referred to as the first jhana heaven. You may come across terms like that. But in the first meditation heavens, you have another 3 subcategory of heavens. And basically, this is the Brahma's followers, Brahma's ministers, and then the third, which is the highest in the first meditation heaven, is the great Brahma heaven. So the second level, so in the first meditation heaven, as you can see by the names, you still have the subject relation, the ruler-subject relationships still exist, but there are no longer gender distinctions. So you have the systems of a ruling country, but you no longer have the male-female distinctions. So it's, in a sense, genderless. And this is reflective of the fact that they no longer have desire for intimacy and so forth. So when you go to the next level higher, which is the second meditation heaven, again, you'll find there's another 3 levels of heaven regarding light and sound. So limited light, limitless light, and radiant sound. And then moving further to the third meditation heaven, you have limited purity, limitless purity, and pervasive purity. And then when we move to the fourth meditation heaven, here, this is a bit more unique. There's a total of 9 levels. Now, the 9 levels, as mentioned there, the beings here, as the name suggests, they would have all had achieved meditation concentration equivalent to the 4th jhana. And so similarly, with the first, second, and third, it's their meditative achievements of the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and so forth. Now, with the arahats, when they're at the third fruition, and they no longer return to the human realm, so they spend their final life in the heavenly realms before they attain arahathood. The scriptures and in the Abhidhammas, if you study, it'll tell you that they spend it in this 4th meditation heaven in one of the final few levels of heaven here, which is the 7th, 8th, and 9th level. So then above the form realm, we have the formless realm. And here the beings no longer have any physical form or abode, so completely formless. What they do have is consciousness. So the beings here are bound to their consciousness and their mental activities. And because there is no physical form that they take up, we cannot really say that the formless realm is located in such and such a place. So again, the cause for being born into the formless realm and the heavens, the levels of heavens in the formless realms, is the achievement of very deep levels of meditative concentration. Now, in the formless realm, you have another 4 levels of heaven. But remember, these levels of heavens, the meditative concentration is beyond the 4th jhana. And when we talk about the 8 difficulties or the 8 obstructions, one of them mentions being born in the longevity heavens, and it refers to the heavens in the formless realm, particularly the very last one, the heaven of neither conceptualization nor non-conceptualization, because the lifespan here is extremely, extremely, extremely long. So, among the 5 realms of cyclic existence, the heavenly realm is the most superior and blissful. And this superiority can be explained from 4 aspects. Now, one aspect is the superiority of their bodily form in the heavens that do have physical form. So these heavenly beings are very tall and have large bodies. For example, in the lowest level of heaven, the 4 kings, their bodies are said to be 1/4 of a crochet. So in terms of the Indian measurements, some calculations equate this 1/4 of a crochet to be around 90 Chinese feet. So very, very large bodies. And in the heaven of the most rarefied form, this is the highest level of heaven in the form realm. So this is the 4th meditation heaven and the highest heaven there. The beings of the bodies there are said to be 16,000 yojanas tall. So depending on how you convert 1 yojana, some conversions have this 16,000 equate to 256,000 miles. So that's an extremely big physical form. So not only are their bodies tall and large, but their appearance is also very beautiful. So much so that nothing in the human realm can be compared to the beauty in the heavenly realm. So you may or may not have heard of a story in the Buddha's time where Buddha had a disciple called Nanda. And this particular disciple, he had a wife called Sundari, who was considered the most beautiful woman in that city or in that country at that time. So after Nanda became a monk, he still constantly thought about the beauty of his wife. So in order to kind of, put an end to his reminiscence of his beautiful wife, Buddha took him to the Triatrimsa heaven. And as soon as he saw the females, the heavenly maidens there, he immediately thought that Sundari looked a bit like a monkey and that she was quite ugly. So this is a very funny story when we think about it now, but it's a way to kind of help us understand exactly just how beautiful the heavenly beings are. So that's their natural beauty. So the second superiority is their lifespan. Now, the lifespan of the heavenly beings, as I mentioned, is very long. And in each heaven, as you move to the higher levels, the lifespan increases by a certain fold. So, as an example, in the lowest level of heaven, the heaven of the 4 kings, the lifespan is 500 heavenly years. Now, this equates to 9 million human years. So that's very long. And then if we go to the highest level of heaven, as I mentioned, which is considered one of the 8 difficulties, the lifespan is said to be 80,000 great eons. So if you were to be born in this highest level of heaven, our world as we know it would have probably gone through several rounds of creation, destruction, disappearance, and then creation again. So within one lifetime of the beings in heaven, we would have cycled, if we remain as human beings, we would have cycled through countless human lives. So that's why it's considered one of the difficulties, because if you're born there and all you have is your meditative concentration and consciousness, then there's no way for you to practice, to hear the Dharma and practice the Dharma when you are born into that particular heaven. Now, the third superiority is their joy. So the heavens in the desire realm have all sorts of enjoyment. As for the form realm, from the first meditation heaven to the third meditation heaven, the beings there no longer experience worry, sorrow, vexation, and so forth. Instead, what they experience is sublime meditative bliss. Now, in the fourth meditation heaven and higher, so this is the fourth meditation and the formless realm, their minds are in constant, are constantly settled in peacefulness. So this peacefulness is a very wonderful and sublime experience, and the enjoyment of that level of meditative concentration is nothing that can be found in the desire realm heavens, let alone the human realm. Now, the fourth superiority is, of course, meditative concentration. Now, the beings in any one of the heavenly realms, whether it's the desire realm, heavens, or higher, all beings have a degree of meditative concentration. So birth in the first meditation heaven and higher is a result of having cultivated the 4 jhanas. And of course, meditative concentration in the formless realms is a result of having achieved meditative concentration higher than the 4th jhanas. But regardless, as the beings born in the heavenly realms are naturally equipped with a degree of meditative concentration, and the higher the level of heaven, the greater that meditative concentration is. So unlike ourselves who are born without any meditative concentration, and we have to practice meditation to accumulate that experience, and even after attaining, say, the 4th jhana, if we then slack off and don't practice it for a while, we lose that level of concentration. But for the beings in the different levels of heavens, they're born with that particular quality. So that was a very quick run over of the heavenly realms, and in total we have covered the 5 realms briefly. Now the next verse summarizes the cause and effect of cyclic existence, and it says, all types of sufferings are caused by unwholesome karma. All joys arise from accumulating wholesome karma. Suffering and joy end when karmic forces are exhausted. One should know to accumulate wholesome karma. So as an ordinary human being, and one who doesn't have some sort of a weird habit, people naturally want to experience happiness and avoid suffering. So everybody longs for a good human life, or even better, a heavenly future life. Now, if you fully understand the suffering in the 3 evil realms, no one in their right mind would want to be born there. But within the 5 realms, there is still varying degrees of suffering and worries. And these are all caused by unwholesome karma created in the past. So similarly, all the joys that we experience in the heavenly human realm, the animal, hungry ghost realms, and even the very faint moments of respite in some of the hell realms, all of these types of joy and happiness arise from accumulating wholesome karma in the past. So we must keep this in mind, that if we want to avoid suffering and we want to enjoy happiness, then all we need to do is to carry out good deeds. We shouldn't think about, well, when am I going to experience this? You can't bargain with karma in that sense. But, karma will always hold true to its word. So all we need to do is diligently carry out wholesome deeds and abstain from unwholesome deeds. Now, the experience of joy and suffering, we need to remember, are impermanent, and it will end when that particular karmic force comes to an end. So if we truly understand this and have conviction in the principle of impermanence, as well as the law of karma with its cause and results, then even when we're faced with suffering and hardships, we will never lose hope, because we know that it will come to an end eventually. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but it will come to an end. So if we diligently work at things, particularly when we're caught in a bad situation, we can reflect on emptiness, we can reflect on impermanence to help us cope with the situation. But we also need to then think about karma and be even more active in carrying out repentance practice, in practicing tolerance, and in doing more good deeds, so that we can quickly bring an end to that negative karmic force and create the conditions for wholesome karmic forces to ripen. And therefore, we can then turn our fortunes around and begin to experience joy. So remember, the purpose of learning the Dharma is to improve our lives and to help us deal with whatever life throws at us, rather than dwelling in sorrow and letting negativity carry us away. Because if we dwell in our hardships and we let that negativity carry over, this creates the conditions for our past other unwholesome karma to ripen instead. So then we're actually prolonging our hardships. Now, the next verse is a verse of encouragement. And it says, if in the present time one is capable of doing good deeds, but is yet to carry out wholesome deeds, once this life ends and the result of suffering arises, at that time, what kinds of wholesome deeds can one do? So if in this present time we're free from the 8 difficulties, we're not too young to do anything, meaningful, and nor are we too old. We're neither disabled physically or mentally, and we have the skills and ability. If we meet with all these conditions, then it means we are very capable of doing many good deeds. But we need to understand this is actually a rare opportunity that we tend to take for granted. And I'm sure that all of us attending the class now fall into that rare opportunity category. So in one respect, you should pat yourselves on the back for doing good deeds in the past, and that's why you can enjoy your present situation. But if we always recall impermanence and think of it as a shadow that follows us incessantly, then we need to remember that our present outcome, our present fortunate situation, and the corresponding joy that we experience, these will eventually end when that karmic force is exhausted. So if we don't accumulate new wholesome karma, then we'll be in trouble eventually. And in particular, while we're young now, And Faye, this includes you too. You're not too old at all. While we're all still young and capable, we need to see what can we do to help our families, to help our friends, to help society. Because when we do fall sick, when we do age to the point where we can't do much but just sit around and lie around, then our ability to do good deeds is very much limited. So we should seize the opportunity that we have now and not procrastinate until we're old or sick or injured and bedridden. Now, for a practitioner of Buddhism, after learning about the 5 realms, one would think, well, why would we want to be born in the human realm if there's an even better heavenly realm that we can choose to go to? So I'll just focus on the heavenly vehicle. But for a Buddhist practitioner, we really need to think carefully, the human realm or the heavenly realm, which is the better choice? And regardless of what we choose, we need to also understand, well, what are the wholesome deeds that can result in birth as a human or a heavenly being? And having attained this form as a human or heavenly being, particularly the human form, how can we avoid the constraints or traps that can arise when we are in the human form or the heavenly form? And namely, how do we avoid regression to the lower realms due to having committed bad deeds? Now, these are important questions that we need to reflect on, and the next verse provides us with the answer. So it says, seek and gain the precious human form, cultivating heavenly practices, but not being born there. Diligently cultivate the 3 meritorious practices. Vow to be born a human and hear a Buddha's Dharma. So here it provides us with the answer to the 3 questions that was mentioned in the previous slide. The first half of the verse answers the first question about which realm is better, the human or the heavenly realm. So both the human and the heavenly vehicle practices lead to fortunate results. Now, in terms of the outcomes, the heavenly form is by far superior to the human form, as mentioned in terms of the physical body, the lifespan, the type of joy they experience, and the meditative concentration that they are born with. But in terms of a more ideal place with which to learn and practice the Buddha Dharma, the human realm is better than the heavenly realm. And in this respect, the practice of the human vehicle is more precious than the practice of the heavenly vehicle. Now, last year, the material from chapter 2 in The Way to Buddhahood reveals that humans have 3 qualities that surpass heavenly beings. So these qualities are the quality of memory, moral conduct, and determination. And when these are cultivated to perfection, they correspond with a Buddha's virtue of wisdom or prajna, great compassion, and the Bodhi vow. Now, another important point is that all the Buddhas that we know of, that we can read about in the scriptures, all Buddhas appear in the human form. So that means in their final life, when they become a Buddha, the scriptures indicate that they choose to take on the human form and not in a heavenly form. So this highlights the preciousness of the human realm. And in addition, when the heavenly beings and their lifespan in that particular heaven comes to an end, they too regard the human realm as the peaceful place, and they also seek rebirth in the human realm. So from a Buddhist practitioner's point of view, the human realm has certain qualities that surpass the heavenly realm. Now, there's a line that says, cultivating heavenly practices, but not being born there. So what this means is that we can cultivate both the human and heavenly vehicle practices. As we practice the Buddha Dharma with our human form, we must guard against coveting the sublime results of the heavenly realm. So that what that means is you can practice the heavenly vehicle, but just remember to not fall head over heels for the outcome of being born in the heavens, because we need to seek birth in the human form if we want to continue cultivating the righteous Dharma practices. And as mentioned before, the joys in the human realm, in the heavenly realms are so sublime. If you practice the heavenly vehicle and you start to think about, I'd like to be born there, then of course you're creating that karma. And so if that karma ripens and you're born in the heavenly realm, then for that particular lifetime, it's very hard for you to practice the Dharma. So in this way, we need to really understand that the human form is the main vehicle for us to use if we want to learn and practice the Dharma life after life. So if we undertake the heavenly vehicle practices, our aim must still be to gain the human form and not seek birth in the heavenly realm. So cultivating the heavenly practice in this way, if we have our vows to be born as a human and be able to hear the Dharma and practice the Dharma, then because of the power of our vows, it will not, the power of our vows can help us to avoid being carried away by the karmic forces of being born in heaven. So again, this goes back to what we covered in previous years. Vows, making vows is really important, particularly the direction that those vows push us in, whether we vow to become a great bodhisattva and ultimately attain Buddhahood, or whether we vow to attain arahatship and so forth. Our vows, the power of our vows are unfathomable. Now, the second half of the verse says, diligently cultivate the three meritorious practices, vow to be born a human and hear a Buddha's Dharma. So the second half of the verse answers the last two questions of what are the wholesome deeds that result in birth as a human or heavenly being? And the third question of how to avoid regressing to the evil realms. So first, let us look at the deeds that help human beings gain the goal of birth in the human or heavenly realms. Now, the Buddha taught that there are three meritorious practices, and these are the wholesome karmic deeds that lead to birth in the human or heavenly realms. Now, the three meritorious practices are generosity, morality, and meditation. So this means if we diligently cultivate all three meritorious practices, then we can be assured the results of being born as a human or heavenly being. Now, some people do not understand the cause and result effect properly, and so they do not undertake the right karmic deeds. But they still wish to be born as a human being or even seek to be born in one of the heavenly realms. So, an example, some people will pray to various gods and hope that the heavenly king will save them and take them to his realm. And they think in this way they can then be born in the heavens. But the Buddha once reprimanded such people to not undertake, these people, they don't undertake wholesome deeds, but yet they pray for birth in the heavens. So without planting the right cause, they will never be able to achieve their aim. And the Buddha used the analogy of someone throwing a stone into a lake and then standing by the lakeside and praying that the stone will float to the surface somehow. Now, the ancient masters also taught that birth in the heavens naturally has its corresponding karma. It is not the case that praying to the gods will result in becoming a god. So sadly, there are many people out there, because they haven't learned the Dharma and they don't know about the causes and the results. They long to be born in the human and heavenly realms, but they don't undertake the right practices. Now, the last question about how can we avoid the constraints or traps arising as a result of being a human, and how to avoid regression to the evil realms due to having committed bad deeds. Even if we know to cultivate the 3 meritorious practices, we must also be able to avoid the traps that can arise in the human form or the heavenly form, as well as regressing to the lower levels. So remember that the outcome we want is we want something that supports our Buddhist practice. So there's a purpose behind seeking the human form and not seeking the heavenly form. And we need to tie this back to our practice of the Dharma, our cultivation of the path. And so a key factor is our vows and aspiration. Do we have the vows of a Shravakayana practitioner? Do we have the vows of a Bodhisattva practitioner? And what are our aspirations? So for a Buddhist practitioner, naturally, we should be making vows to be born as a human during a Buddha's time. So during a Buddha's time means to be in a time and place where the best and most ideal is where we can actually meet with a Buddha and be able to hear that Buddha give Dharma talks directly, or even better yet, to be able to become a disciple of that Buddha and study under their guidance, just like Sariputra, Mahakashyapa, and so forth. Now, if we can't achieve that, then at least to be born in a Buddha's time where the true Dharma is still available and we have the triple gem, we have good teachers that can teach us the Dharma properly. So if one is able to be born in the human form, in a time and place where there is a Buddha, where the Dharma is still available, and to be able to meet with the Buddha and his disciples and that Dharma, then this result indicates that our karmic connection with the Buddha and with the Dharma is strong. So when we make vows and we practice, we are building up our karmic connection with the Buddhas, the Dharma, the Sangha, the triple gem. So this also means that we're building our karmic connection with countless teachers and good spiritual friends that can help us to continue learning and practicing the Buddha Dharma. So such an opportunity allows us to further nurture and develop our spiritual foundation, and we can move from one with a weak spiritual foundation to one with a stronger and more advanced spiritual foundation. And then we will be able to understand the more difficult teachings and practice further. with the help of all these Dharma friends. So creating such karma and having these karmic forces means that in our future lives, we will be able to gain the human form and be able to encounter good Dharma teachers and good Dharma friends that can help us to find our way back to the path. So we think about our life, even in this life, how did we come to meet with the Dharma? How did we encounter? What was our first encounter with the Dharma? Who brought us to the Triple Gem's door? We need to think in every life, I hope that we can meet with that particular friend or that type of friend as early as possible. For my own experience, my first encounter was from a high school friend, and she dragged me to the Huasang Monastery one evening, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I thought it was fun. And that was the first spark, in a sense, that fortunately was nurtured and continued to grow. So we need to constantly build up our karmic connections with the Buddha, the Dharma, and countless Dharma friends, so that relying on them life after life, we can meet with the Dharma. And in return, we too should vow to be good Dharma friends to others, so that life after life, we can bring others and help them rekindle their connection with the Dharma as well. So the practices that can help us to be born in the human or the heavenly realms, as mentioned, are the three meritorious practices. And these practices basically help to nurture and develop our virtues and merits. So they are wholesome roots. Now, in turn, if we undertake these practices, then our spiritual foundation will mature, and then naturally we can advance to the transcendental path of the Mahayana. So that's why, as I mentioned in day one, with the 5 vehicles, even though initially the human vehicle and the heavenly vehicle only aims for a human birth or heavenly birth, but they can be paths that lead to the transcendental paths of liberation. They do form a stepping stone towards the Buddha path. So, in short, practitioners who are unable to aspire to the transcendental path or make the Bodhi vow in this present time, if they diligently undertake the right human practices and make their vows daily, this can help them to eventually move to a higher aspiration. So when we talk about daily vows, these vows could be, as an example here, the vows that one wishes that the Triple Gem can compassionately take them in, or they vow to meet with the Buddhas and hear their Dharma life after life. Having this type of righteous vows as meeting with and learning from the Buddhas, coupled with undertaking the right human practices, the 3 meritorious practices, then this can guarantee us that we will never lose the human form. And instead, if we practice diligently, it can also help us to progress to the higher levels. So we've got about 7 minutes left. Originally, I was going to begin talking about the 3 meritorious practices, but I think this might be a good place to end the talks now. And next year, we will begin with the 3 meritorious practices, looking at generosity, morality, meditative concentration, and then we'll cover stage 3, which is the core element that humans should rely on if they want to move in the direction of Buddhahood. as well as part 2. So this year, we've covered basically about halfway of chapter 3. And I've skipped some materials, so I do encourage you to actually read the existing English translation that is available. And then hopefully in a few years' time, when the Yin-Shun Foundation's official version becomes available, you can then read that and review the material as well. So thank you so much for your attention these past few days, and I hope that all the talks have been able to help you all rekindle your practice if you find yourself in a bit of a slump, or to help you progress even further and provide you with more energy to move forward. So 5 minutes left. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you very much, Yan-Rong Pastor. And we are looking forward to have you next year. I'm so sure we're going to meet you personally, physically,
Yes.
too. Go back to
Yes,
the Bodhi
yes.
Monastery. So it will be more
Yeah.
questions. So now everybody have questions for Yan-Rong Pastor. It's very, very good the explanation for type vehicle. Yeah, all the
Yeah, no,
realm.
I have to apologize for kind of rushing through a lot of the material today. I skipped a lot of the notes that I had prepared.
Yeah, because if it's a physically in the classroom, we can cover more. With the Zoom, I think limited time because of the that different time zone. Yeah, so
Yes, different time zones. So I'll see if next year's material is quite significant and I think worthy, then I might we'll see how we go. I might see if I can snag a few more lessons to
yes,
finish off the
yes,
material
yeah. This
rather than
year we
just
only have,
skipping.
let's see, we only have 4 hours, I think,
Yeah,
right?
4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. The 4 hours. That's very short. And then instead
Yeah.
of we have 4 days, that will be much more time to learn more things.
Yeah, yeah.
For
But
instance,
it's 4 hours for me, but in total, remember, we've also got 4 teachers. So
yeah, but I mean, still though, 4 hours for this topics is a kind of not not satisfactorily fully. Still
yeah,
a lot of missing info. So, anybody have
yeah.
any questions?
I have a few questions, Venerable.
Yes, sure.
Thank you. So I missed something along the way today. I didn't get the screen cap for your nice chart with all of the realms. So I just wanted to clarify.
I
Um,
will convert that into slides and put that up.
Thank
The
you.
reason why I didn't provide the handouts beforehand is because of this situation where I don't know if I can finish all the material.
Mm-hmm.
So based on what I have finished, I will convert that into handouts and then send it to Faye. So you guys
Thank
can
you.
download the PDF.
So the five realms,
Mm.
human, animal, hell, hungry ghost, and heavenly.
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, um, the desire realm, the formless realm, and the formless realms, are
Yeah.
they just used to classify the
They're
five
another
realms?
way, they're another way of classifying or defining the Buddhist cosmology. So if it's as I mentioned, the desire realm basically embodies all 6 realms, but it doesn't embody all of the heavenly realm. So it only captures 6 levels, the lower 6 levels of the heavenly realm. and the rest of the heavenly realm is captured in the form and the formless realm. So the categorization of the three realms, so when you hear of the three realms, which refers to the desire, form, and formless realms, this categorization is based on the characteristics of the sentient beings and what ties them to this world. So the desire realm beings all have sense faculties where they have basically the five desires. But in the form realm, they don't have all five desires. Because remember, once they get to the form realms, their appearance, their physical form is more subtle but more sublime, and they no longer have the desire for sexual intimacy. So there's no gender there. So that particular aspect of sense faculty is gone. And then when you move higher to the formless realm, because they no longer have the physical body, they only have consciousness. So their sense faculties basically are minimal. Now, if you go through the Abhidharma again, some people will, there are some arguments about whether or not the formless realm is entirely formless. But that's an Abhidharma argument, and some people will say that there is an extremely subtle sense of form even in the formless realm. But generally, what you need to understand is that the characteristics of the beings in the formless realms are so unique that it's been classified as a separate realm. So that's one way of classifying all the beings. So in the desire realm, the beings in the hells, the animal, the hungry ghosts, the humans, and the 6 lower levels of heaven all have the qualities of the 5 desires. So the 3 realm classification is based on sense faculty and the desires, the defilements that the beings have.
Okay.
Whereas when we talk about the 6 realms, that's another way of classifying it. And this classification is a bit more, I guess you would say, it narrows down, in a sense, the type of karma that each being creates and is experiencing. So the beings in the hell realm are currently experiencing the karma that yields the experience of hell, as opposed to the animal, the hungry ghost. So these are just all ways to describe what is the existence in the world we live in.
I see.
In a sense.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So they do have overlaps. They do have overlaps. Yeah. Does that help?
It's helpful. Thank you. My second question is, so for meditators who go into the jhanic states,
Yes.
can they only travel across realms? And what I mean by that is go into the formless realm or the form realm, but not go within the desire realm. So like human to the hungry ghost realm.
Well, this is a purely in terms of meditative concentration. As a human being, when you're practicing meditation and you get to those different jhanic states, what you experience is purely in a meditative situation. So you will experience what it's like if you were born in that particular first meditation heaven and so forth. But you're not actually there. You know what I mean? As opposed to the beings who are born there through their karma and experience it naturally. So just like us, we're born as humans, so we naturally know what it's like to be humans. But your dog or your cat will never really understand what it's like to be human, even though they're living with you in that sense. But having said that, you mentioned about, traveling in meditation to other realms. if you read certain sutras, like recently I've been chanting the Kishtagarbha Sutra. There are situations in the sutras where you'll hear about the Buddha giving guidance to a certain person and telling them to go home, sit in meditation and recite my name. And then within that particular sutra, the Kishtagarbha Bodhisattva in one of his previous lives, his mother passed away, but he knew that his mother had done a lot of bad deeds. So prayed to the Buddha, and the Buddha gave him this instruction: go home, sit down in meditation, and I will then be able to give you the answer to your query, which was basically he wanted to know where his mum was after she died, because he suspected she should be in hell realm because of her past deeds. So that's an example of being brought to another realm while in meditation. But that's not through one's own meditation, that's through the help of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas.
Okay.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
It does. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
let the wrap the class
Yes.
period, and then we can ask more questions after this.
Yeah.
Okay, so Larry, can we do the bowing?
Yep. 3 bows to the Buddha. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Bow to the teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I received a Yan-Rong 法师